I watched Christopher Hitchens the other day on YouTube. Now, the Archbishop of Anti-Theism remarked that the Jewish God was a genocidal megalomaniac and that he bemoaned how anyone could worship such a deity. Now, ironically, Christopher Hitchens is Jewish, but that's a whole other story. If you read Parskat Ekev, you're left wondering if maybe he's right. The Hebrews are about to enter the Promised Land and Moses is telling them to do some pretty nasty things on behalf of God. It's basically saying, you shall not spare them. No man will be able to stand before you until you've destroyed them. You'll burn their gods with fire, and you shall drive out those nations from before you. So, I guess you're right, Hitch. God, it seems, doesn't have a whole lot of love and kindness for the Canaanites. Maybe that is genocidal. If you have a chance, I want you to watch a documentary called The Bible's Buried Secrets. It's on PBS. There's a link that I've provided there. You'll learn something kind of interesting about the ancient Israelites. They weren't exactly the warriors that the Bible likes to talk about. In fact, they were shepherds and outcasts and nomads and serfs, people who basically were on the fringes of society. I know a little bit about society's fringe. I've spent a fairly good part of my life there. I'm a nerd, I'm a weirdo, I'm a freak, I'm a rocker, I'm an artist. I've spent a lot of time there. In my teen years, my God, my teen years were like the culmination of all of those things at once. I was a huge mess. Anyway, these are the people today that live on the outside of society. It's something we all have in common. We love stories that give us strength. Generally in life, we feel powerless, whether it's powerless against a school bully that's beating us up or a boss that won't leave us alone. We need that sense of unity and power, and ultimately, we need stories where we win in the end. And pop culture is filled with these stories. Revenge of the Nerds, Napoleon Dynamite, American Splendor, Ghost World, SLC Punk. These are like our Parskat Ekevs. Imagine what it must have been like to have been a beaten-up pseudo-slave in the Bronze Age, in the middle of the desert. You're a social pariah for your time. You're totally worthless to any community you've ever tried to belong to. And then all of a sudden, someone comes along and says, hey, you are the descendant of mighty warriors. There is one God who personally believes in you and who you are personally responsible to. That seems pretty rad to me. So yes, Hitch, God does seem like a tyrant in this story, but when you've been beaten up your whole life, it's nice to know that you have some muscle on your side.